Welcome to the New Heights Show on Education. I'm Pamela Clark, founder and director of the New Heights Educational Group, and I'm here with David Smith, the founder of Silicon Valley High School, who has helped us get these podcasts produced and delivered to you.
Yes, Pamela, when we saw the great things that you and your army of volunteers were achieving at New Heights, we wanted to get involved. We're happy to work with you to leverage the internet and make quality education accessible and affordable to everyone, everywhere.
Thank you, David. We appreciate Silicon Valley High School helping us to get these podcasts out to the hundreds of thousands of listeners from all over the world. So I hope you enjoy the show.
In this week's episode, we will discuss education reform on mission.
Hello, everyone. This is Danielle Washington coming to you live from Ms. Buffie Williams' office. We're just sitting around thinking about life and trying to become better people tonight, so check us out. Welcome back. You're on the air with Buffie Williams, and you have been listening to the New Heights Show on Education. We have been discussing the show's purpose on mission.
Good evening. This is your host, Buffie Williams, and you're listening to the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education. Tonight's topic is my wrap-up show, and I don't want to do a recap. For last week's show, I want to do a recap of all of my shows for tonight. And on tonight's episode, we'll just kind of talk about me and my new endeavors in life and kind of what I'm going to be doing after the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education. So let us hear your thoughts. Call us at 917-948-7542. Or put your comments in the chat or tag me on social media using the hashtag NHEG, or as always, post your comments on Twitter at Buffy_Awaken or on Spreaker, Instagram, or YouTube. Remember that my fellow New Heights host Erica Hanson's show airs on Thursdays at 2 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. On one of my earlier shows, I used to give quotes on some of my earlier shows for those of you who have been with me now for almost a year. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to go along with me on this journey for this year of my life. This has been a lifelong dream of mine to be able to bring educational information to persons who were interested in just bettering the lives of their children and their children's education, bettering their workspace, and bettering their colleague relationship or coworker relationship. And I hope that in some way this show with New Heights has given you an opportunity to look at some of the issues that our students deal with, as well as our parents and administrators, because we are indeed all in this together. As a nation and globally, as a global society, we're all in this together. But the reason I mentioned the quote was I wanted to go back to one of the ones that I mentioned on one of my very early episodes, and I want you to kind of go with me, if you will, in a meditative place so that I can read this for you today. And it's something that I try to incorporate within my life, and I know that if I'm not incorporating this, I'm a little bit off my center point. And I don't know if you deduce this from listening to my shows, but I try to, as much as possible, stay in a place where I'm centered for me. People often talk about balance, and one of the things that I tell people is that when someone uses the word balance, you need to ask them, well, what does that mean for you? What is your definition of the word balance? Because when I say it to people, I definitely say and mean that no matter what, God is first for me, right? So I may not say that, but for me, that's what I mean. So that's my first stepping stone. That's my foundational stone. And then from that point, it means whatever in my life needs precedence and attention or has importance for that particular day or for that particular moment. And this is something that I'm hoping that you all have gleaned from all of my many episodes throughout this year. Is that when you're in complete balance, it's not about matching what others are doing in their lives. It's not about giving equal time to your church, your spouse, your children, yourself, your job, your multiple hobbies. It's not about giving equal balance to those things, but it's about giving time and attention to the things that need it most in the times that they need it most. And it may be your oldest child at that particular time. It may be your middle child. It may be your baby. It may be your parents. And when we look at life, I just want you to kind of just think about these things. Just for today, I will not worry. I will be grateful. I will honor all life. I will let go of anger. I will do my work honestly. Just for today. So if we think about just for today, how can we improve education? How can we improve the lives of someone? Try to just focus and be in the moment and do what's in front of you. Take care of what you need to take care of that's right in front of you. And most of the time it's us, right? So just like you, I have been going through a transitional time with COVID-19 as well. I'm getting ready to embark on another journey within my life. And I want you all to know, my listeners out there, my supporters who have followed me throughout this year, I am eternally grateful for you and for your support on Facebook and listening to the show, for you listening to the show on Apple Podcasts or on Spreaker, wherever you're listening to my show, whether it's SoundCloud, any of those mediums that I utilize to spread the message of New Heights and what they have to offer to families. Not only families who are homeschooling, but families who are in public school education, charter and private school. We all have a common goal. We want our children to be able to access educational resources in a way where they can retain the most and be the most beneficial for them in their lives and to our society. So throughout this year, we've had quite a journey. And I have grown a lot. I have learned a lot. I am grateful for my New Heights family and for the opportunities that New Heights Educational Group has given me. The New Heights Show on Education, to be able to become a syndicated show, is something that I never imagined would happen. I just knew that I wanted to be able to bring this information to you in a way that would be easily digestible, and that in a way that for me, if I were listening, I would want the information brought to me. And by giving you those resources, the shows will still be on the New Heights Educational Group's website. You will always have hopefully access to them throughout the year. So if you want to listen to those episodes again or gain more information, I hopefully have made it very clear of all of my resources that I use, because remember, all of this information that I bring to you is information that I bring to you that are public resources that are available to all parents. But again, I know that it's a lot of information to digest. I know that we're in a new era. We're going into a new transitional world with COVID-19 being in this pandemic and all of this all of us globally being in the same boat together. And I want this show to be a continual resource for you, and New Heights to be a continual resource for you. If you have educational needs and you're trying to figure out where to go, there are multiple resources at New Heights Educational Group and the New Heights Show on Education, where you can listen to valuable information regarding what your educational path is for your child, and also educating yourself so that you're in a better position to be able to talk to administrators and even your child's teacher, and establish a good relationship and a good collaborative working relationship, so that moving forward your child also understands the importance of all of us working together for a common goal. And with that, just for today, I will not worry. I will be grateful. I will honor all life. I will let go of anger, and I will do my work honestly. So we're going to take a break, and I'll be with you after the break.
Right now, you might be struggling through your classes or even failing them. You might be worried that you may not finish high school. There might have even been a thought that you may not be smart enough. Well, the New Heights Educational Group begs to differ. We not only think you are smart enough, but with our help, you will complete your high school diploma. The New Heights Educational Group strives to improve your academic success through its tutoring services. To learn more, please visit newheightseducation.org and contact us. New Heights Educational Group, educational resources to help reach your goals.
This podcast is brought to you by Silicon Valley High School, the world's fastest growing, video-based, self-paced, teacher-supported, fully accredited online school that's recommended by more than 96% of students. Take individual courses at just $95 each, or earn your high school diploma at any age. Check us out at svhs.co.
Welcome back. This is your host, Buffie Williams, and you are listening to the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education. And tonight's episode is my wrap-up show. And I am thanking all of my listeners and my contributors. And I don't want to forget the new Silicon Valley High School, who was instrumental in getting us syndicated and also assisting us with multiple things as we became a syndicated show. So I definitely want to send light and love out to Silicon Valley High School and also the instructor and the students there. I am so grateful for everything that you've done for the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education, and especially me, Buffie Williams, by you working with our show. And I also want to thank you here on my intro. I have Jamal, who was instrumental in helping me with my intro as we did the show, and you'll see on my page where I have his name there, and I want to thank him for being there with me from the start. I also want to thank Danielle Washington and Sierra for being there during the inception of the show, and you hear them each time as we open up the show. But we've had an opportunity to talk about educational reform, and I want to also, before I get into that, thank Pamela Clark, who is the creator and director of the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education, and I want her to definitely know how powerful this show has been in bringing resources to our community and globally throughout the world. And her vision, with her following her vision and her passion for life, has definitely rewarded many people. And so I want to thank Pamela as well directly, and all of the staff at New Heights Educational Group. I want to thank you for your contributions and for your encouragement throughout this year. But throughout this year, we've talked about educational reform, and we've had a discussion on that. you've gotten a little bit of background on me as a writer, as a host, as a therapist, and as an instructor throughout the years. And also we've explored the IEP process, and we know how detailed the individualized education plan or program can be, and how what an important resource it is for parents to be able to understand the importance of the IEP if their students have special accommodations that need to be met, and thinking about education reform as a whole and how we can make education better for our students in the coming years. We've also had an opportunity to explore the Easy Tunes comic book that was created by Pamela as well, which I thought is a wonderful resource for children to address issues that children face or students face in the classroom or school area, such as bullying. Our first issue that we discussed was inclusion, including those who may be diverse in nature from us in some way, but also finding out the common theme that we have within us. And we explored the Ohio Strategic Plan for education for their students, Each Child, Our Future, on an episode where we looked into the strategic plan for Ohio, because of course New Heights is in Defiance, Ohio. And we looked at educational resources that teachers can use, as well as students and parents. Throughout the show, we've had the opportunity to interview Nieb of Legitica, and thinking about critical thinking, and Kevin Grant with his anti-bullying campaign and his anti-bullying Peacock Nellish, which was a 2-segment episode, because after that I talked about just my experiences in watching bullying growing up in the K-12 area. We've explored school safety and federal TRIO programs where I have worked. And we also explored the Easy Tunes comic book issue 2, Taylor Goes in Fear, expressing teenagers going into situations where they know that they feel within themselves that this is something that they should not do, but Taylor went anyway and then ended up leaving because she knew she had made the wrong decision. We explored From Libraries to Learning Commons for the first time. We also talked about Black history and Black history moments in the K-12 magazine Teaching Tolerance, which is put out by the Southern Poverty Law Center in Montgomery, Alabama, which is an educational resource. And they have resources for teachers. They have films that you can use. All of their information is free. You can sign up for Teaching Tolerance and receive their magazine for free. You can receive posters about inclusion and how to mix it up in the lunchroom so that, students are not always sitting with the same students, but they kind of rotate out and teaching tolerance and learning about different cultures and all the people that you have within your school. We talked about STEM education and the STEM projects that are around the world and conferences that students have access to promote STEM education and giving them opportunities to explore STEM careers. And also we spoke about virtual education. And we know that when we initially talked about that, virtual education was kind of a side curriculum to education, or just augmenting the classroom situation. But now that we're in the midst of the pandemic, virtual education is on the rise, of course, because out of necessity, we're having to move to a more internet-based platform, a virtual platform within our classrooms. We talked about challenges that teachers face in the K-12 area and understanding those challenges within the classroom and the administration, and trying to just bring quality education to our students. We had a roundtable discussion about bullying, which was our first roundtable, and it was hosted by Erica Hansen, my fellow New Heights host, and I was kind of a co-host on that show, and Pamela Clark, also our director, was on that roundtable. We talked about K through 12 physical education and school sports, and how those two have progressed throughout the years. We also talked about parent education events, PTOs, and parents getting involved in parent organizations at schools, and being how they could collaborate with the administration and maybe ease some of the stress burden for their teachers, for their child's teacher. And then we talked about educational conferences and professional development that teachers have to have in order to stay current and abreast on the areas in which they teach. Also, we talked about the difference between advanced placement and dual enrollment classes on an episode, and getting you abreast on, which road your child would like to take, or which road you and your child, after you discuss, think is the best path for you, advanced placement or dual enrollment classes. And then we discussed issue 3 of the Easy Tunes comic book by New Heights, Gaining a Friend. And we explored art education in the K through 12 area, which is a fave of mine. I love art education. It's one of those things I've always been really passionate about. Having art education in schools, I believe, allows students to think in a more critical way. And also we talked about expanding financial literacy within the K through 12 education area. And then we talked about educational systems and ways of teaching students around the world. We had a round table with people from around the world. That was an hour-long episode that I hosted with New Heights, and that was very insightful to see how education has been implemented in other areas of the world. We also looked at the Global Education Monitoring Report 2020. We explored flipped classrooms, where a lot of teachers are moving to the flipped classroom model, where students actually learn the information first and then come to the classroom to actually explore any problems or challenges that they've had with the lesson, or any questions, and look at the curriculum material in a more in-depth way. We talked about the K through 12 grading system, and is it obsolete, or which method might be best for your educational system, and what does it actually measure as far as your child's learning is concerned. We talked about careers in education and how you can explore different areas of careers and multimedia learning and multimedia education. We talked about classroom size and K through 12. Does it really matter? And we learned that it's more impactful in the elementary grade levels, and if you haven't implemented it at that point, there's not going to be a major change once you get to the junior high and high school level. It's most impactful when you can make smaller classroom sizes in the elementary school levels. And then we talked about school choice, and how do you make the decision as to whether or not you send your child to public school, or you decide to homeschool, or have your child participate in a charter school, magnet, or some other type of school, private school. So we talked about school choice, and we talked about what does it mean to be a lifelong learner in this age. And also we started getting into part 2 of our episode. So we talked about the individualized education process, the IEP part 2. We talked about providing educational access to our global community, educational resources part 2, bullying part 2, school safety during COVID-19, and also federal TRIO programs part 2. And then we also discussed From Libraries to Learning Commons part 2. So we have had an extremely busy year. And I want to just thank you all for being with me on the journey. And I hope that your next host for the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education, is going to be more dynamic than you could ever imagine. in providing additional educational resources and information on on education. But I am your host, Buffy Williams, on mission, bringing my wrap-up show to the New Heights Show on Education, the New Heights Educational Group, for which I will be forever grateful for the opportunity to be able to bring educational resources to you and your families. And if you're looking for me on Facebook, I am Buffy Williams on Facebook. Some of my other resources, I do have books on Amazon if you're interested in any type of healing. I do have resources on Facebook. There's a link, and I also have books on Amazon.com. There's one called Vantage Point, where if you want to know about my upbringing and what brought me into this education field, Vantage Point is a fictional memoir where there are some fictional aspects to it, but there are also stories from my life and kind of what brought me to this point in my career and in my educational pursuits throughout my life. I also have a Black River book journal that assists in you kind of exploring where you are currently as far as your self-care is concerned. And so I'm on Instagram, Facebook, of course, Twitter. I won't be posting as much as I do now. I think I post weekly, as you know, on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. But I would say at least maybe monthly I will be posting something. But I am also on YouTube if you want to listen to past episodes and you don't have access to Spreaker or the New Heights Educational Group. You can go there. You can come on Spreaker and listen to the past shows. You can also listen to past shows on YouTube, where you can access all of my past shows, and also on SoundCloud. You can access a few of my shows on there, but definitely on the newheightseducation.org. All of my information is there. So if you want to, I encourage you to follow me and click the like button if you like it, and click subscribe so that when I do upload new content and new information, you will have access to the information before anyone else. And again, I want to thank you for always being with me here on Tuesdays and supporting the show. I have grown, and it has been an honor and privilege to be a part of your lives for this year with the New Heights Educational Group. And I want to thank you for going along this journey with me. I am your host, Buffy Williams, signing off for the last time with the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education. Thank you for joining me.
We hope that you join us next week.
That's our time, and you have been listening to the New Heights Show on Education. I'm your host, Buffy Williams. If you like what you've heard, search for us on your smart speaker and listen to us anytime. Thank you for listening. Good night. Until we meet again next Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we discuss next week's topic. Enjoy expanded content from the New Heights Education Group hosts on Blog Talk, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spreaker, and Watch No Learn.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. Don't forget to rate us and follow us on your podcast player. Check out our show page, radio.newheightseducation.org, for monthly announcements and other happenings.